Hi guys, welcome back to Sparkman Homestead. My name is Krista. I'm in the kitchen right now. It is 4 o'clock on New Year's Eve and I am just pre-prepping a breakfast casserole. I have this loaf of sourdough bread. I made it when the kids were here and we never, believe it or not, never got to eating it just because we had so many other things like pretzel buns and regular buns, and we just had a lot of other bread products. So this kind of got pushed aside. So I am trying to use this before it's pretty stale. So I'm trying to find a recipe that I could use it. Usually in this situation, I'll either make croutons or breadcrumbs, but I am good for both of those, and it is not really salad season right now. Unfortunately, all of our lettuce died, so croutons are not something we need right now. So I am going to make this overnight French toast casserole. I thought it would be perfect for New Year's Day when we wake up. That, for me, New Year's Day is the day I always put away my Christmas decorations. I have done it since probably before my kids were born. So I have been doing it a long time. So I like to kind of have quick and easy meals on that day. And also New Year's Day is the start of, like I said in all my other videos leading up to this one, start of the pantry challenge. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get this breakfast casserole ready and started, and that way we can have a quick and easy heavy breakfast, which is really nice kind of on days like New Year's Day. We actually don't have any plans tonight. We're not going anywhere. It's a very, very chill night, and tomorrow we'll wake up, have this really nice casserole that we made, and just kind of have a chill day, put the decorations away. So I am going to show you guys how I make this casserole. It's a pretty quick and easy meal, and then I'll show you kind of how I get it prepped, and then tomorrow I will turn the camera back on to show you guys how I actually make the casserole and how it turns out. And then I will also show you what we are making for supper tomorrow night. Tomorrow night we are making a chicken and ham gumbo. It is a quick and easy crock pot meal. So what I'm going to try to do in this video is kind of show you guys this casserole and show you guys the very first day of the pantry tour. So this is going to be a 2-day video. I also have some sourdough bread starting and some bagels. So I will also make bagels with you tomorrow morning. So let's get started on this overnight French toast casserole. Now the recipe calls for a broche, I think that's how you pronounce it. It's like a sweet bread. But obviously I have this sourdough, so it is not going to be a sweet bread in this recipe. It is going to be a sourdough bread. So it's going to be kind of a more sour, tough tasting bread. So what I'm going to do to kind of combat the fact that I'm not using a light, fluffy, sweet bread is I am going to add a little bit more brown sugar to this, just to kind of up the sweet factor. I mean, we are, actually, you know what? I'm probably not going to do that. The reason is because I'm going to top this with either a maple butter or maple syrup when I go to eat it, so I don't want it to be too sweet. The other modification that I'm making to this recipe is it calls for a 9x13 pan. I know we're not going to eat a 9x13 of this breakfast casserole. Even if we stretch it out for a couple of days, we are going to have way too much left over. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to not put as much bread in it. I am going to be using 11x7 pan, just one of these Pyrex casserole dishes. So I'm just going to fill this. Now, because I am using this bread though, I am still going to keep the recipes, kind of the wet ingredients. I'm still going to keep that good for the recipe. So let's get these cubed up. We have to get these cubed up into 1-inch cubes. And then from there, we will go to the wet ingredients. So I'm just going to get these chopped up here. I'm actually going to stop cubing for a minute, and I just need to get this pan greased up because this is where I'm going to put the breadcrumbs. Just add a little oil to it. Get it all greased. It says to grease or butter. So what we'll do is we will start adding these breadcrumbs. Okay, so we have this pan good and full. One thing you may have noticed me doing is I was kind of cutting off some of the harder bottom crust. Sourdoughs are notorious for having a super crunchy crust, so I don't want to have to try to bite through that crust in this. I know that the egg mixture soaking all night will help soften it, but again, because this recipe calls for a very light and sweet dough, I'm trying to make that more possible by taking the crust off. So we've got them all cubed up. Let's get started on the wet ingredients now. We got our big bowl out now. So what we need to do is take 8 whole eggs, and we need to put them to this bowl and we need to beat them really well. So I just have a whisk here and we'll just get them cracked in here. These recipes are also really good if you have an abundance of eggs, which right now we're kind of in the middle of having a lot of eggs and we don't have as many as we normally do, but we have some extra ones. Because of the holidays, Stephen didn't bring as many to work with him, so need some more for us. So again, even though I'm using that smaller dish, I am adding the same amount of eggs to it. And you know what? That was actually very brave of me, cracking all of these eggs into here. Normally I have a little container and I crack them so that I don't end up with a bad egg, but thank goodness I didn't have one. So we're just gonna whisk this until they're well beaten. I completely forgotten I had one of these and this would work amazing. Okay, perfect. Just sprayed egg everywhere. Oops. Okay, so now we're gonna add 1 cup of whole milk. This recipe does specify that it is whole milk. This milk is expiring today, so I really want to get it used up. So that's the other reason I'm doing this recipe. And then we are going to add 4 tablespoons of melted and then cooled butter. So we don't want to add super hot butter to this because we don't want to cook the eggs. We're going to add a tablespoon of vanilla extract. It's okay if you add more. It makes it taste way better. We're going to add half a teaspoon of cinnamon. You can add a little bit more if you like the cinnamon taste, but I'm probably going to add maybe 3/4 cup, or not 3/4 cup, wow, 3/4 teaspoon. And we're going to add a pinch of salt. And half a teaspoon of light brown sugar. Now it says to pack it, so we're gonna put it in here and push down on it to pack it. So now it says to whisk until combined. It says to whisk hard. Okay, just making sure everything got incorporated. Yep, we're good. So now it says to pour over top of our breadcrumbs, and it says to also kind of stir it in. If you find any dry spots, just stir it, it says. But it also says not to overmix. So I'm just gonna kind of get the mixture where these things are dry. So what we need to do now is just cover this and put it into the oven until tomorrow morning. We also need to make the crumb topping that goes on top of it because that also needs to sit in the fridge overnight with it. So just have one of these silicone covers. It is definitely made for a bigger casserole dish, but that's fine, it'll work for this. So in the fridge, this will go overnight. Now it says that to refrigerate it at least 4 hours or overnight to up to 12 hours. So we are gonna do it the overnight option. So for the topping, I'm just gonna make it in this little 8-cup measuring bowl thing here. Easier for me to dump into the bag. So in a large bowl, we need to stir together flour and brown sugar, cinnamon, and salt. half a cup of flour. And because this is a crumb topping, it's not really a recipe. Like, it's a recipe, but it's not like a baking recipe. It's okay if you add like a little bit more. I really like a really big crumb topping on mine, so I usually add a little bit more than what the recipe calls for. So we got half a cup of flour in here. We are going to add 1/3 cup of light packed brown sugar, half a teaspoon of cinnamon, a pinch of salt, and now we need to add half a cup of cubed cold butter. We're going to use the pastry blender just to kind of cut it in. It does say you can also use like 2 forks if you don't have a pastry blender. It's just one of these things. So it just wants it to have small clumps of the butter in here. I'm not gonna get too picky with getting them like super fine. That is a good consistency for my liking. You can do it, if you want them smaller, then you can put them smaller. And then we need to add 1/3 cup of rolled oats. I am just using an old-fashioned rolled oats. I'm gonna add maybe almost half a cup to it, because again, I like more of the topping. And then it says to gently stir these in, because you don't wanna wreck the oatmeal. And then I just have a silicone bag here, and we're just gonna add this to the silicone bag. In the morning, when we wanna use this, when we're going to bake it, I'll show you in the morning. We already have it all pre-made. So we will put this in the fridge for overnight also. So that is it for the breakfast casserole. It is all ready to go in the morning. I will show you guys in the morning when we make that, because we're gonna also get that supper pre-started in the morning as well. So I will bring you guys back then. This recipe is like an awesome recipe to start this pantry challenge, because I am using up some stale bread, I'm using up some milk that's about to expire, and I'm using an excess amount of eggs. So perfect way to get started with this pantry challenge is literally using things that are going bad in my pantry. So win for breakfast tomorrow morning and getting started on the right foot. I will see you guys back tomorrow morning. Hey guys, welcome back. So it is New Year's Day. Happy New Year's. I have preheated the oven already at 350. I just took our casserole out of the oven. So I am going to take the plastic wrap off of it. And we are going to take the topping that we made, and we are just going to sprinkle it on top of this casserole. I have coffee also getting made right now. I woke up this morning not feeling very good. Last night I went to bed and my throat started really hurting. So the first thing I did this morning was take some elderberry. I am going to be definitely taking it every couple hours to try to ward off whatever this is that is irritating me. Yeah, it's just a sore throat and not feeling 100%. And I didn't stay up very late last night, so it's nothing to do with that. Okay, so we have the topping all on top of this. I am just going to kind of improvise a little bit. I have some cinnamon here, and I like to have it a little extra cinnamon tasting. So I am just going to sprinkle a little bit of cinnamon on top of it. And by a little bit, I probably put maybe half a teaspoon, not even on there. So we're gonna get this in the oven now. This needs to cook for 50 to 60 minutes, or until the top of the casserole is golden brown and the French toast is firm. So we're gonna put it in for about 50 minutes because again, we made it in a smaller container. So we will check it at 50 minutes and then we'll assess from there. So we have to get the bagels done, and we also have to get the sourdough doing its second ferment. So let's kind of get that started. Okay, I'm gonna get prepped, or I'm gonna get the bagels prepped now. So we just have our dough right here. This has been fermenting all night. I may do a video kind of showing you guys how I actually make the dough, but I am using the recipe from this cookbook. And it is just called Sunday Morning, which works out to be, it is Sunday morning, Sunday morning bagels. So what we're gonna do with this dough is we are going to divide it into 8 equal parts. These do make kind of small bagels, so if you wanted a bigger bagel, you could probably divide this into maybe 5 pieces, because they are small, but they work for us. Good size. And I'm not too finicky about getting them to be equal parts. I just kind of eyeball them, and if I notice one is smaller than the other, then I just take from the larger one. These actually look like they are pretty even, which is good. Okay, so now what we're gonna do, I have a cookie sheet here lined with one of these silicone, one of those silicone liners. So now what we're gonna do is we are just going to form these into balls, and then we are just going to put them onto this cookie sheet. We're not gonna do anything with them. We're just going to leave them on here for about 15 minutes just to relax the gluten. So my hope with making these bagels is that Stephen can have something to take for breakfast with him. I'm also going to be making some egg bites this week for him. That way we can kind of reduce the cost of eating out. He actually doesn't normally eat breakfast. It's just the lunch that he eats out. And today is the day that we take down all of our Christmas decorations, so I kind of want to have this as a nice little lunch that I can make, just a bagel, and maybe if we have any leftover meat in there, we can make a sandwich. Okay, so we are going to let this rest for about 15 minutes. We're not really in a hurry with this because we still have that casserole in there that takes about an hour to cook. So these are fine to just rest. So we'll leave these aside. I already got my bread doing its second ferment. So we need to get supper started because that takes about 6 to 8 hours in the crock pot. So we need to get that going also. So for our first pantry challenge meal, we are going to make a chicken and ham gumbo, and it is from this book. I absolutely love this book. You notice all the tabs on here. I'm going to be using this book a lot this month. It has some really good recipes to get using that stuff in the freezer that's starting to go bad. So we are going to make the chicken and ham gumbo. This is a great recipe because it uses up some frozen vegetables that I have in my freezer that are starting to get freezer burn that I need to use. So it is great for that. It also is using up some chicken broth that I canned earlier this month. So what we have to do first is we have to get some boneless chicken thighs. I just defrosted them last night in my fridge. So I have a package here. This is 1 pound. Actually, it's 1 pound 10 ounces, and this recipe calls for 1.5 pounds of boneless, skinless chicken thighs. And what we need to do is we need to cut these chickens up into bite-sized pieces, and we just need to saute them until they are no longer pink. So let's get started doing that. So yesterday I shot a brief little video just kind of explaining to you guys why I was doing the pantry challenge and what it means to me. So what I mean by that is what my rules are going to be with the pantry challenge. But I decided I'm just going to tell you guys on this video because I don't want to put out another video. I want to get this one out first. So the reason I'm doing this pantry challenge this month, so for me, what it means is using stuff up in my pantry that I notice are starting to go bad or close to expiry date, or just stuff that I don't use on the regular. So it's just sitting there not getting used. What this pantry challenge does not mean to me, so what I'm not trying to do is I am not trying to use up my long-term storage food. I am not trying to clean my shelves out. I am not going to go and restock after this month. I did not go and stock up for the challenge. This is just simply using things that are on their way out that have to get used. It is forcing me to get creative with my menu, and it is forcing me to kind of come outside of my regular box. I have a very well stocked pantry, and that is going to serve me very well with the food increase prices that are happening everywhere. It's not just here, it is in different countries. Everywhere is feeling the hit of increased food prices. So my goal is not to deplete everything that I have so that next month I have to go and buy everything back again, because that is definitely not going to save me money. Next month I'm not changing my budget at all. I will still have my my monthly budget. So the pantry challenge for me is just using what needs to get used and forcing me to actually use it. So this recipe is a terrific example. I have green peppers that need to get up and used up in my freezer. I have these chopped jalapenos that are starting to get freezer burn. These chicken thighs that we don't normally eat, got to get used up. So this recipe is going to be great. And again, the breakfast that we're doing, as I explained yesterday afternoon when I was making it with you guys, that is stale bread that would have probably ended up going to the chickens. That was milk that was at its expiry date, so had to get used up, and that was extra eggs that we had. So that's a perfect example of what, to me, this pantry challenge is doing. So I just kind of wanted to give you guys a little insight to that. It is, again, it's not at all me depleting my storage, because that is not necessarily a smart idea to do at this point. I like having that security there with that food, but I also don't have food just to have it sitting on the shelf. I have food for us to eat, so there's that also. So let's get these chicken thighs in the skillet and get them browned up. My heat on medium, and I'm just going to add some avocado oil to these. What I am going to do in the meantime, while those are browning up, we are going to get our other ingredients into our slow cooker, which is I use my Instapot as a slow cooker. It works amazing for that. So we're going to get all of our other ingredients into here. I'm debating whether I want to have it going over here or over there. Let's get everything set up over here, because then it's more out of the way for me today. Just checking my burner here. The oil is hot, so I just added the chicken breasts. I am going to actually add some salt and pepper to these chicken thighs, just to add a little bit more seasoning to them. Now we look at everything over there. So to here, we need to add a 10-ounce package of frozen okra. I do not have any okra. I did not grow any last year. I found that we just didn't use it enough. I may grow some this year, but anyways, I don't have any. So what I'm just going to omit that. Then we also need half a pound of smoked ham cut into small chunks. This is some of our ham that we have left over from Christmas. I just diced it up and vacuum sealed it and put it in the freezer. So we will add some of this to it. We'll just add the whole bag. It's probably going to be about a pound in there, but that's fine. We actually like more meat in it, so that works. Okay, and then it calls for 1.5 cups of coarsely chopped onions. Because Stephen doesn't like onions, I'm just going to use some of my homemade granulated onion, just dehydrated and powdered up. So I will add a couple teaspoons of that. And then we need to add 1.5 cups of coarsely chopped green peppers. Like I said, I have these frozen chopped green peppers already in the freezer, so we're just going to add these. And I'm just breaking them up a bit so they're not in so many chunks. Probably about 1.5 cups. Steven isn't a super fan of green peppers, so I don't want to put too much in. Okay, and then we're going to add three 10-ounce cans of cannelloni. Cannelloni, I may not be pronouncing that right, beans, and you need to drain them. This is what the beans are. So I have two, I think these are 15-ounce cans, so I have two of these, and I'm just going to get them drained out and put in there. Just going to add these. I would like to, in the future, can these beans, and I was going to buy some dry ones from Azure Standards, but they are very expensive, and I honestly don't use them a lot, so at this point, it's not kind of on my radar to can them just yet. And I just need to go and turn that chicken. These chickens are done, so we're just going to add them to the pot here. So now we need to add 6 cups of chicken broth. This is a 2-cup measuring. Didn't quite have enough. You know what, I'm just gonna add it all. Just gonna give this a quick little stir. So I just used 2 quarts of chicken broth. I am going off this recipe a little bit and I'm making it work for me, which is the whole purpose of the pantry challenge, is just to make the recipe work for me and use what I have. So I put in that much. Next up is 2 10-ounce cans of diced tomatoes with green chilies. So I have my home canned diced tomatoes. I'm just going to use a quart size, and I'm going to actually add, because I have them in my freezer, I'm going to add some sliced jalapenos. We do like spice, so that works perfect. And because my tomatoes don't have green chilies in it, it'll work that way also. And I'm probably going to add maybe a 1/4 cup of jalapenos. Not too much, just enough. Okay, so now we are going to add, it's suggesting, so it's not in the actual recipe, but I am going to do it because I definitely know I want it in there. It says add 3/4 teaspoon of salt and a 1/4 cup of pepper. I'm just gonna add a teaspoon of salt and probably 1/2 teaspoon of pepper. It also says another variation that you can do is, sorry, I don't have my glasses on, I can't really read it. Stir in 1/2 cup of long grain dry rice, and you can add this with the other ingredients. You know what, we might do that also, because gumbo, I like gumbo with rice, so we will do that also in this. We're just going to use our brown rice here, and because we added that extra liquid with the chicken broth, and then the tomatoes also have extra liquid, that works perfect for helping cook this rice. Okay, so I'm gonna add about 1/2 teaspoon of pepper. And you know what, I might actually add 2 teaspoons of salt. And the reasoning I'm doing that is because my chicken broth does not have any salt in it. I can my chicken broth just plain, no salt. So I am going to add a little bit more salt to that. I actually just need to get my rice rinsed before I add it to here. I'm not using the right strainer for this, so I lost a little bit of the rice. So we will just add it into here. It also suggests adding cilantro, but it suggests adding it at the very end. So we are just going to plug it in here. It says to cook it on low for 6 to 8 hours. So we will put the slow cooker feature on here. And it is set on normal, which on the Instapot is low. And we will set it for 8 hours. I'm actually going to take that keep warm button off just so I can check it. Okay, so we will put the lid on. Now, when using the slow cooker, or when using the Instapot as a slow cooker, you need to make sure that you have the little gasket on the venting. You do not want it to be on the seal. You want it to be in the venting position. So we have that all ready and going. And so that is gonna cook slowly all day, which is awesome because we do have that Christmas project to do, and I am not feeling 100%. So yeah, I'm super happy with this recipe today. So I'm gonna get those bagels kind of ready because our breakfast casserole is going to ding any minute. There it is, our breakfast casserole. We're gonna check it now and see how it is. Let's take it out and see what it looks like. Ooh, it's puffed up a bit. Let's see if it's... Yeah, it feels firm. So we are just gonna let this cool for a couple of minutes. It does say to serve it hot, so we'll just kind of leave it here to cool while we're getting our bagels prepped. I am going to also turn the oven off for now. All we're doing to get the bagels ready is we are just making a hole in the bagel. And then we are going to let them rest for about 30 minutes. We're gonna cover them. I'm gonna use a damp towel. We're gonna cover them for 30 minutes and then we will come back and boil them and get them cooking. Sorry if it's loud, guys. I'm just boiling some water in the back for another coffee. So I have some boiling water here and I'm just gonna add about a tablespoon of honey to it. We've got our bagels here. You guys can't really see, sorry. Got our bagels here. So what I'm gonna do is just take about 4 bagels and drop them into this boiling water. And I am gonna put them in for about a minute per side. And I have some egg wash here. It's just an egg and a little bit of water that I just beat up. And then I have some of everything bagel. This is not the it's the Trader Joe's container, but this is actually stuff that I made myself. I think I did a video on making it. I'll see if I can find it, and if I can find it, I will link it for you guys. We also have the oven preheated at 425. So we're just gonna flip them over. Go and set the timer for another minute. I wanted to show you guys, this is the breakfast casserole. Stephen already got into it, but this is what it looks like. Okay, so our minute is up. We are gonna take these out and I'm gonna kind of make sure they're really good and drip dried. Let's get the other ones in and set the timer for a minute. Okay, and then what we're gonna do, we're gonna take our egg wash and we're just going to brush it on top of the bagels. And take our seasoning. Stephen likes it heavily seasoned, so I put a lot on. So if you guys are following the recipe in that book, I do vary away from it a little bit at this finishing process. It calls for only 30 seconds aside in the boiling water, and it does not say anything about an egg wash. That is just something that I've kind of done with them, and they turn out amazing. I had a regular bagel recipe, and it actually says to cook them for 2 minutes per side, and you get a really chewy bagel. But I found with the sourdough, 1 minute is really good for it. So, and I really like the way that the egg wash makes the final product. So I just, in case you're following the recipe, I do vary away from it a little bit at the end. Turn the burner off and get these final ones out. Now, you can put a lot of different toppings on this. I've tried putting taco seasoning on one time, and that was yummy. Cinnamon sugar is also delicious on top of these, or you can just leave them plain with just the egg wash. That works perfect also if you want to have a bagel with like jam. It's really delicious with just the egg wash. Although I'm sure if you did the cinnamon sugar one and you put jam on it, that would also be very good. So we are gonna put these in the oven for 25 minutes. So we got the bagels out of the oven. I am just getting my sourdough pan that I cook it in. I'm just getting that hot, and then I'm gonna get that sourdough in the oven and cooking. I'm gonna show you guys what I did while I was waiting for those to cook. I had some expired cream. It was only expired by a little bit, so I did not want to waste it. I know I can always give it to the chickens, but I want to actually use it. So I made up some butter. Super easy to make. This is 2 cups in here. I'm just going to throw this in the freezer. I don't have like one of those butter paddles, so I can't get the liquid completely out of it, so it will go stale pretty quick. So I have these, and then I made a little container like this. So I will just leave this in the fridge, and we can eat from it this weekend. We can even use it on our bagels. And then I have this is buttermilk. So I will try to use this week, maybe in a biscuit or something for breakfast. So I used up some cream that was expired. So just get this sourdough in here, and then I am gonna go and eat my breakfast and just relax, because I am, like I said, not feeling good at all. The elderberry is definitely helping though. I can feel it. I'm gonna take a little bit more, actually probably in another hour. I'm gonna try to take it every maybe 3 or 4 hours until I am starting to feel my throat not burn. Anyways, I want to thank you guys for following along today on day 1 of the pantry challenge. What I will be doing is posting a video once a week showing you guys what I cook throughout the week. They will not all be detailed videos like this one. They will just be kind of an overview of what I made that previous week. I am going to try to get the movies out every Monday for you while I'm in the pantry challenge. So again, that video will just be what I made that previous week. So if you are interested in following along with me on the pantry challenge, hit the subscribe button and you will get a notification every time I post a video. And I will title the ones with the pantry challenge. I will just title them Pantry Challenge Week, whatever it is. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. If you did, give it a thumbs up, and again, subscribe so you will see notifications when I do post new videos. Have a great day or night whenever you are watching this, and I will see you guys on the next video. Bye guys. Okay, this is how it turned out. Now I actually, once the timer went off, I had to come and put it on high pressure for 10 minutes because none of the rice was cooked. So I think my Instapot, maybe right back here where this thing is, if it is not on correctly, it actually does not make the whole thing work. So I did it high pressure. We're gonna eat now because it is already 7:30. So yeah, we're gonna eat, and I have definitely come down with something. So I have been, after I took the decorations down, I've been on the couch. So elderberry is up. So this is how it turned out. I tasted some and it tastes pretty good. There it is. I'm gonna add some of this to it. This is just some homemade stuff I made. But we're getting our peas in. I guess these are beans, not really peas. New Year's. And then we're gonna have it with some of our homemade sourdough bread and homemade butter. So super looking forward to this dinner.